So what kind of return on investment are you really going to get with an indexed universal life policy moving forward? Now, I've heard salesmen who aggressively push these products throw out numbers like between 7 and 8%. And I immediately said that this is a bunch of BS for reasons covered in this video. The numbers are too good to be true because I already know that insurance companies invest mainly in bonds, 70 to 90% in bonds. And I had to really do some digging around on the internet because the internet is so cluttered with happy talk from insurance salesmen. But according to a consumer advocate website, whitecoatinvestor.com, between 2 and 5%. There we have it. And according to an insurance brokerage company, not likely to be in excess of bonds. And over long time periods, which is what an index universal life policy is, earning no better than bond-like returns is not living abundantly. Have you heard the phrase, never bear too much risk or bear too little risk? But it seems like all too often these investment grade, or as they're called, cash value insurance products are sold to either old people who are ignorant of what diversification into bonds is and how bonds are slow and consistent. They're ignorant of how when stocks fall, money runs to the safety of bonds. And two, they're sold to young people who are ignorant of how over long time periods, it doesn't matter if stocks are volatile. Stocks have historically been the best performing asset class over long time periods. So if you're not going to touch your money for 20, 25, 30 years or more, earning bond-like returns is very likely going to cost you a lot of money over a lifetime. And finally, both young and old people are not aware that when you invest in investment-grade insurance products, the insurance company has to invest that money somewhere, just as you would otherwise invest that money. And as Doug Andrews says, money has to have a home. And in fact, insurance companies invest in a conservative portfolio that's comprised of between 70 and 90% in bonds. That's because they know that bonds have always been low risk. Bonds have always been a stock shock absorber. They know that from 1970 to 2010, a 28-72 portfolio was the lowest risk bond stock allocation ratio. And with this low risk approach, the insurance companies know that if they invest heavily in bonds, then they can make low return promises to market-fearing senior citizens. And it's simple mathematics. Insurance companies will not and cannot play Santa Claus or they would go out of business. If you're paying out all these lavish commissions to sales agents and you have overhead costs and you're a for-profit corporation and you're investing mainly in bonds, you can't pay out stock market-like returns. And therefore, you're an idiot for locking your money up for decades, if not for life, in an investment-grade insurance product. You are shortchanging yourself. You are committing the cardinal sin of bearing too little risk and earning likely no better than what bonds pay, and after many years. And in fact, you're actually bearing a substantial risk that you will one day wind up paying a surrender penalty to get out of that insurance policy. Now, I don't know what the statistics are with Index Universal Life, but with whole life insurance contracts, 50% of policyholders have dumped their policy after 10 years, and 70% of policyholders have dumped their policy after 20 years. Now, most universal life policies come with an option to withdraw cash values rather than take out a loan. These withdrawals, however, are subject to the old contingent deferred sales charge penalties and may also have additional fees defined by the contract. And the reason they call it a sales charge is because the insurance company is recouping the money that they paid the salesman who convinced you to buy the contract, because he gets paid a lot of money, and that's money that is not created out of thin air. It comes indirectly from you through either lower returns over time or through a surrender penalty if you don't stay the course. This is why Index Universal Life products are illiquid financial products. They lack liquidity. So anyway, you hear consumer advocates repeating this golden rule all the time. Never mix insurance with investing. In other words, yeah, you need auto insurance, you need homeowners insurance, fire insurance, health insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance after perhaps age 60. Maybe you need excess liability insurance if you're wealthy, and maybe you need that's term life insurance for your family in case you die and all of a sudden you're not around to bring home the bacon. But none of these types of insurance involve your investment money. And none of these types of insurance pay lavish commissions to the sales agents who sell them. But then we have investment-grade insurance products like whole life, universal life, variable life, index universal life, etc., all of which involve dumping your investment money into insurance products, and all of which consumer advocates like Clark Howard, Bob Brinker, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, etc., say to avoid like the plague, as do consumer advocate websites like White Coat Investor, which has extensive detailed reviews about these products. But the problem is that these products are famous for paying huge, lavish sales commissions to the sales agents who push these products. And so we're bombarded with sales pitches for these investment-grade insurance products, which Dave Ramsey calls garbage and a ripoff. So here in Los Angeles, there's this talk radio station, KABC, and it seems like they've ceased becoming a talk radio station because all I hear is nonstop infomercials on the weekends. And if it's not Ken Murray selling his market timing service and trying to get you to come out to his sales pitch that he calls a seminar, or Rich Uncle selling non-traded REITs, then it's Doug Andrew, who's pushing index universal life insurance, and he's got a sales pitch that he calls a seminar. And this guy, he comes across like a preacher, and he'll start out by saying, we can help you learn and gain wisdom on how to have and enjoy an abundant life, liberate ourselves from perfectionism. And it's like, dude, cut with the spiritual enlightening crap. You're hucking insurance products. But I guess if you start quoting Bible verses or sound like you're a life coach or something, apparently people will drive out for one of these, for a 4-hour sales pitch, seminar, and pull all the equity out of their home and dump it into indexed universal life insurance. Unbelievable. And in his 30-minute infomercial, he's got a testimonial from a woman who's talking about the total debunking of conventional financial garbage that we have been fed all of our adult life. And I'm thinking, what the hell is she referring to? And how much you want to bet that this little old lady put 80, 90, or 100% of her savings in the stock asset class during the 2000s, and now she's blaming the stock market instead of blaming herself for failing to diversify into bonds? And you know, one of the most common themes of these free sales pitch seminars is to appeal to people who got slammed by the stock market, and nobody ever told them that when stocks fall, money runs to the safety of bonds, and then you rebalance. But then they go from one mistake to the next. They go from dumping 100% of their money in stocks to putting 100% of their money in an index universal life policy. What they really should be doing is studying the performance history of a balanced portfolio of not just stocks, but bonds. You know, even if you take on more risk than, say, a 67-33 portfolio, if we look at the worst rolling 20-year periods for a 50-50 portfolio, the worst average annualized return on investment was 3.6%. That goes way back to the Great Depression, which was a different era with fraud, no Securities and Exchange Commission regulation, etc. If we exclude that era, 5.3% was the worst rolling 20-year period. But let's take it a step further for younger people who are not drawing on their savings at this point. And if we invested 100% in stocks during terrible time periods, if we go back to the Great Depression, your return from 1929 going out 25 years later to 1954, your return was 5.88%. Or if we extend out to 1959, 30 years, it returned 8.37%. That's with 100% in stocks, and we're including the Great Depression. Also, from 1990 to 2015, if you were 100% invested in the S&P 500 index, your annualized return on investment was 9.6% over that 25-year period. Also, from 1928 to 2011, stocks earned an 11.28% annualized return on investment, and bonds during that same time period, 5.41%. And finally, let's just see how a super conservative 3367 portfolio performed over the last 20 years when rebalanced on January 1st of every year. 8.2%. How about them apples? How about that for conventional financial garbage? Now, one of the other red herrings that insurance salesmen talk about is the tax-free aspect of these insurance contracts. But for starters, tax-free doesn't matter if you're likely to only be getting between 2 and 5%. And if you're doing the right thing by investing in index funds like VOO and AGG, you're only paying the capital gains tax rate. You don't even begin to pay any taxes until you have $48,600 of income for a single person. But Doug Andrew is busy comparing his insurance products to someone who's in the 33% tax bracket. How about comparing your products to someone who buys low-cost index funds, diversifies into bonds, rebalances, and pays 0% in taxes? And the other thing that insurance salesmen brag about is how their products are tax-free when beneficiaries inherit the estate. Well, guess what? They won't pay any taxes with index funds either. It's called stepped-up cost basis. Anyway, I could go on and on about these crap life insurance products, but instead I posted links in the description below this video. Do your research before you blindly follow the advice of a non-fiduciary who earns huge sales commissions if and when he manages to sell these products that are designed to be held for an entire lifetime and, according to White Coat Investor, is likely to only earn between 2 and 5%.